Okay, it's time to start the access portion of the course. We will be in chapter 17, but first, I know that most of you, if you have student home office version, you do not have access. So if you will go out on the web and look here at this website for Office 365, you can try it for free for a month, and it includes access. So if you need that trial, go out there and create you an account and get you an Office 365 trial, and then you'll be able to do your access assignments through it. I'll post this link where you can get the free trial and the access folder in your content area in Blackboard. Alright, so to start access, if you don't already have it, a link on your desktop, you can go here to your start button. If it's not here in your quick start list, you go to all programs. If it'll work. Won't be obstinate. Okay. Scroll down. Do you see your Office 2013 folder? You may access it differently through 365, but it'll send you instructions of how to get to it. Okay. Alright, and then you want access. Okay, a little bit about access itself or in databases in general. Course 2013 or simply Microsoft Access 2013 or simply Access is used to enter, maintain, and retrieve related data. Businesses often use Access to maintain such data as information about customers, contracts, and invoices. Access is for small databases. Okay. It's not robust enough for large databases, but it is good for small businesses. Alright, so a database is an organized collection of related information. For example, a database containing information about a business might be called business info, and a database containing information about personal finances, such as stock portfolios, might be called my finances. Each piece of data in a database that is a single characteristic or attribute of a person, place, object, event, or idea is stored in what we call a field. Alright, for example, a database named Business Info that contains information about a business's customers might include fields that contain the following information for customer data, such as ID number, first name, last name, company name, street address, city, state, and zip. Alright, a table is a collection of all related fields. The content of a field is its field value. For instance, if last name is Sanders, that's the field value for the field last name, Sanders. Each row in a table contains all the fields about a single person, place, object, event, or idea, and it's called a record. So if you think of it in terms of a matrix setup or way we think of looking at a table, your columns are your fields and your rows are your records. A database that contains more than one related table is a relational database, and a field that appears in more than one table. In a relational database, each record in a table must be unique. To ensure that each record in a table is unique, at least one field in each table is designated as a primary key. Primary key field is one whose value uniquely identifies the records in a table. No two records can contain the same value for the primary key. So like in a customer table, you would have first name, last name, and a customer ID number. where no two customers would have the same ID number even though they may have the same first or last name. And then to form a relationship between your tables, the two tables must contain a common field, and the common field must be the primary key in at least one of the two tables. When the primary key from one table is included in another table to make the relationship, it is called a foreign key. Alright, and then a database management system is software used to create and maintain a database, control the storage of database on a disk, and facilitate the creation, manipulation, and reporting of data. A relational database management system is a DBMS that is used to create and maintain relational databases. Most database management systems, including Access, are relational database management systems. Okay? So, after you get Access opened up, we need to create a new blank database. So click the blank database tile right here. It's not taking my selection. Well, it's slow. Alright, once it accepts you selecting the blank database option, your dialog box will pop up. We want to browse and place our database. I'm going to place it on my desktop where I'll know where it is. You can put it on your flash drive, in your assignments folder, wherever you decide you want to put it. Man, this computer's slow. It's having to think about every little thing. Okay. I'm just going to throw it on the desktop, and I'm going to name it Solar. So where it has this random database name thrown up here, name it Solar. Click OK. And then we're going to click Create. Okay, so now we're going to work on creating or working in Datasheet View, creating your database in Datasheet View. Alright, to create your database you need to design a table and enter data into your table. One way to create and work with tables is in Datasheet View. Datasheet View shows the table's contents as a datasheet. A datasheet displays the table's contents in rows and columns similar to a Word table or an Excel worksheet. Okay. In Access, each field must be assigned a data type. A data type specifies the type of data that may be entered for that field, such as text, numbers, currency, and dates or times. So when you create a table in Datasheet View, you first need to create the empty table structure. A blank table is created automatically when you start Access and create a new database. If you need to create a new blank table in Datasheet View, you'll click the Table button in the Tables group on the Create tab. So if you would go to Create, and there's a Table button here, and you would use that to create another blank table. Alright. So after creating your blank table, you need to add fields to define the new table. You assign a data type to and enter a field name. Clicking the Click to Add Column heading in the table opens a list of data types. And then you would click a data type to assign it to your field. If a field name is not completely visible in a data sheet because the column is too narrow, you can resize the column using the same techniques you use in Word and Excel. You can double click the column borders to auto fit the contents, or you can click the edge and drag it. Okay? Now let's talk about the data types for just a second. They're in a chart on page 561 in your book. You have short text, which is letters, digits, spaces, and special characters. 0 to 255 characters. Used for names, addresses, descriptions, and numbers. Not used in calculations. You have long text, which is letters, digits, spaces, and special characters. Is from 1 to 65,535 characters. Long contents and explanations. Number is positive and negative numbers that can contain digits, a decimal point, commas, and a plus or minus sign. 1 to 15 digits, fields that would be used in calculations, except those involving money. Date time is dates and times from January the 1st, 100 to December 31st, 99.99. And it's 8 bytes is your field size. Currency is monetary values, accurate to 15 digits on the left side of the decimal point and to 4 digits on the right. Auto number, unique integer created by access for every record, can be sequential or random numbering, 9 digits and the primary key in any table. When you let it auto number, that auto number is your primary key. Yes, no values, values that are yes or no, on or off, or true or false. 1 character, field that indicates the presence or absence of a condition, such as whether an invoice has been paid. Hyperlink is text used as a hyperlink up to 65,535 characters. A link to a file or a web page, a location within a file or web page, or another field. Okay. So, working in data sheet view. In the data sheet, we're going to click the click to add column heading. The list of available data types should pop up for us. May take it a minute. It's being slow. Okay. No wonder my computer's acting up. It was trying to update. Okay. Alright, so we're going to choose short text. And we are going to put first name there as the column name, or the field name. And hit enter. Then we're going to move over one and select short text. We're going to put this as last name. And we're going to hit tab. And then we're going to choose date time. And then the field name is going to be cents. And we're going to hit tab again. List of available field names is going to pop up again. We're going to right click the field name cents, and we're going to rename the field customer cents. Okay, then we're going to hit tab. I'm going to right click the ID. I'm going to rename the field, and we're going to name it customer ID. Alright. We're going to double click the customer cents column heading right border to make it auto fit. Alright. Now, saving a table. A table is not stored in the database until you have saved it. When you save a table, you are saving its structure. the number of fields, the field names, the column widths in the data sheet, and so on. The first time you save a table, you should give it a descriptive name that identifies the information it contains. So we're going to go right here to our Quick Access toolbar. We're going to click the little button that looks like a disk. Then we are going to enter customers as the table name and click OK. Notice here on your tab your table is renamed to customers. Alright. After you create the structure of a table by naming fields and assigning data types, you can enter records. To enter records in a table data sheet, you type the field values below the column headings for the fields. When you start typing a value in a field, a pencil symbol appears in the row selector at the beginning of the row for the new record. The pencil symbol indicates that the record is being edited. Okay? A star symbol appears at the beginning of the next available record for a new record. So right now we don't have any records in there, so the star symbol is at the beginning of that record. So in the first row of the data sheet, we're going to click in the first name column. We're going to type Lily. We're going to hit Tab. Alright, notice how my pencil is there on my record for Lily. That's the record being edited. And my star symbol has moved down to the next row, which is the next available record that can be added. Alright, so last name. Alright, so it moves down. Hit Tab and it will move me into the next record so that I can enter my next person. Now at the end of this one, hit Enter. Okay, and it moves you over into the next record just like Tab does. You can either hit Tab twice or Enter. Okay. Now, notice that when I was entering the second day, I was putting dashes instead of the slashes, and see how Access conformed it to the date format it was supposed to be using here. Alright, let's keep going and enter my next record. Alright, then we're going to click the field containing Connor. Insertion point appears in the field. Using the same editing techniques you've learned in previous applications, let's backspace this out and put in a different last name. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and enter the last couple of records. Okay. Now, each field in a table is defined by a variety of attributes or characteristics called properties. A property describes one characteristic of a field. A field name and its data type are properties. The properties for a field depend on the field's data type. In addition to the field name and the data type, the following are common additional properties for different fields. A description is an optional property for describing a field, usually used only when the field name is not descriptive enough or the field has a special function such as the primary key. Field size is the maximum storage size for short text, long text, number, and auto number fields. Format describes how the value is displayed. For example, with the date time data type, you can choose an existing format or enter a custom format using the same custom codes as used in Excel. Decimal places, the number of decimal places that are displayed to the right of the decimal point in a field defined with the number or currency data type. Caption, the field name as it will appear in database objects such as in the table and datasheet view. For example, you might use the field name CUST capital NUM in the table's design, but set the caption property to display customer number as the field's caption to enhance readability in data sheets and forms. Default value, the value automatically entered in a field. For example, if every customer in a customer's table live in a certain state, you might set the default value property for the state field to the state's abbreviation. The field name and data type properties are available on the ribbon on the Table Tool Fields tab in Datasheet view, but more properties are available in Design View. Design View shows a listing of tables, fields, and field properties. To switch between Datasheet View and Design View, you can use the View button on the ribbon here on the Home tab. In Datasheet View, it appears in the Views group on the Table Tools Fields tab. Okay? So, this is what Datasheet View looks like. And then let's go here and look at Design View. Alright, so there's Design View. Alright, so in Design View, the Table Design Grid lists the fields you entered in Datasheet View. Field Properties pane lists the available properties for the selected customer ID field. Okay? And a description of the selected property appears in the help box. In the Table Design Grid, in the Field Name column, click First Name. The field is selected in the Table Design Grid and its properties appear in the Field Properties pane. In the Field Properties pane, select the value in the field size box and set it to 20. This is the maximum number of characters allowed for the first name. The description in the help box changed to describe the currently selected property. We're talking about right over here, okay? Right over here to the right of your field properties. In the Table Design Grid, in the Field Name column, click Customer Sense. The properties for the Customer Sense field appear in the Field Properties pane. A date time field does not have a field size property, so that property is not listed. In the Field Properties pane, click the Format box. And an arrow appears at the right end of the box. Click that drop down arrow to get your list. In the list, click Long Date. Alright, the format is now changed. In the Quick Access toolbar, click the Save button. You won't have to rename it because you've already renamed the table. Because you reduce the field size of first name, a dialog box appears indicating that some data may be lost. Just click Yes. You want to continue anyway. On the Table Tools Design tab in the Views group, click the View button. The table returns to Datasheet View. Double-click the Customer Sense column header right border to widen the column to fit the contents. You're seeing these pound signs because it can't fit the contents in there. So I've got to make it wide enough to fit the contents. And we want to save the customers table again. Okay? Creating a table and setting properties in Design View. Alright, because you can set additional properties for fields in Design View, it can be a good idea to create your table in Design View. Then after you've named all the fields and modified the field properties, you can switch to Datasheet View to enter your records. So, to create a new blank table in Design View, switch to Design View. On the ribbon, click the Create, and in the Tables group, click the Table Design button. Okay? You have a new blank Table 1. It's just given a default table name. In the Table Design grid, in the Field Name column, in the first row, type Contract ID. Okay? And then press the Tab key to select the data type box. The default data type short text appears highlighted in the data type box, which now also contains an arrow, and the field properties for a text field appear in the field properties pane. Let's see. Alright, so contract ID numbers at this company are always 2 digits that identify the year, followed by 2 numbers that identify the actual contract number, a hyphen, and the initials of the salesperson at the company who complete the contract. Therefore, the default short text data type is appropriate. Press the Tab key to accept the short data type, and as a short text data type, and move the insertion point to the description box. In the description box, type primary key. The description you entered will appear on the status bar when you view the table in Datasheet View. In the field property pane, change the field size property to 7. In the field properties pane, click in the caption box and type contract number, or contract number. These values will appear in Access objects, including tables. When you look at the table in Datasheet View, you will see this caption as the field name for this field instead of Contract ID. Click in the second row in the Table Design grid. Type Customer to ID as the field name, and then press the Tab key. Short text is selected as the data type. Click that arrow and change it to number. Press the Tab key and then type foreign key. In the field properties pane, click in the caption box. And then put in customer ID as the caption. The customer ID field is a field that will connect the contracts table to the customers table you already created. The related field in the customers table is also named customer ID, and it has the auto number data type. The data type of a foreign key must be compatible with the data type of the primary key in the original table. In the table design grid, in the third row, enter contract value. Okay. Contract value, tab over, it is currency. For the description, put in total value of the contract. Alright, total value of the contract, and contract value as the caption property. In the table design grid in the 4th row, enter date signed. And then it's a date time field. And the description will be date contract was signed. And then date signed is the caption for it. The table design grid in the 5th row, signed. It's a yes, no. And put signed with a question mark as the caption. This field can have only 2 values. Yes, the contract was signed, or no, it wasn't. In the default box, the value is no. Until the contract is signed, no will be entered as the default value in the signed field. So right here, default value is no. Okay. Now, you can choose which field to use as the primary key in Design View. Primary key button in the Tools group on the Table Tools Design tab is a toggle. Click the button to remove the key symbol if you want to specify a different field as the primary key. So in the Table Design grid, click the Contract ID row, and on your tab, click your primary key button. A key symbol will now appear in the Contract ID row, indicating that the customer contract ID field is the table's primary key. Alright, so now saving the table in Design View. In the Tool tab in the Views group, click the View button. Dialog box will open. Let's see. You must first save your table. Okay, click Yes to save the table now. Name it Contracts and click OK. And then it's going to flip back to your datasheet view. Double click the right borders of each column in the datasheet to auto fit so everything shows. Okay. In the first row of the datasheet, type 1404-RR as the contract number and then press the tab key. Type 5, press tab, 620 as the contract value and press the space bar. okay, hang on. No, 620 and press tab. It formats it as money automatically for you. In the date sign field, put in 1/16/16. Press tab. Press the space bar and a check mark will appear in your box. Press the tab key and it moves you down to your next record. Save this table like this. Okay? And your table should look like this screen here. I say, okay, modifying a table structure. Even a well-designed table might need to be modified. Some changes you can make to a table structure in design view are changing the order of fields, adding fields, and deleting fields. Alright, so to move a field in design view, you first need to select the fields row in the table design grid. To select the field in design view, click the box to the left of the row. Alright. After a row is selected, you can drag it up or down to its new location in the grid. Although you can move fields in datasheet view by dragging a field's column heading to a new location, doing so rearranges only the display of the table's fields. The table structure is not changed. To move a field permanently, you must display the table in design view, and after you modify the structure, be sure to save your table. So we're going to look at contracts in design view. In the table design grid, point to the date sign row selector. Alright, click the date sign row selector. Press and hold the mouse button while pointing to the date signed row selector. The pointer will change to the white arrow with a little shaded box underneath. Drag down until the dark line indicating the drop location for the field appears below the signed field. And then release the mouse button. The date sign field now appears below the sign field in the table. Save your contracts table. And then click your Customers tab to display the Customers table. Display the Customers table in design view. Move the last name field above the first name field. Save the Customers table and switch to Datasheet view. Alright, to confirm the last name appears before the first. Adding a field. You can add a new field to a table at any time. If the field will be the last field in the table, you can add the field the same way as when you add fields to a new table. If you decide the field belongs in a different location, you can always move it to its proper position. You can also insert a new field between existing fields. In Datasheet view, select the field to the left of where you want the new field to be inserted. Then in the Add and Delete group on the Table Tools Fields tab, click the button for the data type of the field you want to insert. Okay. So to add a field, in Datasheet view with the Customers table active, click the first name column header to select the field. In the ribbon, click the Table Tools Field tab. In the Add and Delete group, click the Short Text button. A new field is inserted to the right of the selected first name field with the temporary field name field 1. Type email and hit enter. The customer ID field value for the first record is now selected. In the first record, click the email column and type in the email address lwilson@example.com. and press the tab key. Resize the email column so that you can see the email address. Switch the table to design view. In the table design grid, in the field name, click email. On the Table Tools Design tab in the Tools group, click the Insert Rows button. A new blank row appears above the current email field. The insertion point is in the field name box, ready for you to type the name of the new field. Type invoice item. And the data type will be short text. Save your customers table. After you've created a table, you might need to delete a field. When you delete a field, you also delete all the values for the field from that table. So before you delete a field, make sure that you really want to do that. Alright, so in the table design grid, in the field name column, click the invoice item. To make it the current field. On the table tool design tab in the tools group, click the delete rows button. You're going to get a pop-up that says, are you sure you want to do this? Click yes. Save the customers table again. Alright, closing and opening objects and databases. Alright, when you are done working with the table, you should close it. You close the selected table by clicking the close button in the upper right corner of the pane. Note that the screen tip for the close button shows the name of the tab that will close as part of the button name, such as Close Table 1. If you change the table structure but didn't save it, a dialog box will appear reminding you to save. If it's not already selected, click the Customers tab. In the upper right corner of the pane, to the right of the tabs, click the Close Customers button. Okay. It's been saved, so it closed. The Customers table closes and the Contracts table is still displayed. Right-click the Contracts tab. On the shortcut menu, click Close. The Contracts table closes and the main portion of the Access window is now blank because no table or other database object is open. When you are done working with a database, you should close it. To close an open database without closing the Access program, click the File tab. To display the backstage view, and then click Close in the navigation bar. You can also close Access, which also closes the open database. On the ribbon, click the File tab. We already did that. Okay. Opening up a database. You open an existing database from Backstage View. So we'll go back to File. We'll go to Backstage View. We're going to go to Open. Okay. We're going to navigate to our folder that I saved. So go to Computer and Browse, go to Desktop, go to Chapter 17, and in the Chapter folder you have a Solar 17 database. We're going to open that up. We're going to enable content, and then we're going to do a file save as. Alright, and then under file types, make sure Save Database As is selected. And under Save Database As on the right, make sure Access Database is selected. Alright, click Save As down here, and your dialog box is going to pop up, and we're going to name it Solar Power. '17, and I'm going to save that on my desktop where I'll know where it is. Alright. And again, we're going to enable content. Now, opening a table. All the tables in a database are listed in the navigation pane here on the left. You open a table or other object by double-clicking its name. So we'll double-click the customer's name, and it's going to open that table. Alright, in the navigation pane, double-click Contracts. It opens up your contracts. And we can open up the invoices. Alright. Close the customers and contracts tables. So with customers active, we'll close customers, contracts active, close contracts, and then we have invoices still open. You move around a data sheet using many of the same techniques you learned in Word and Excel. You can click in a field to make it the active field, or you can use the tab keys to move around. In the invoice table, click anywhere in the second record. Okay. On the anywhere except the paid field, which would alter the checkbox. On the record navigation bar, the current record box shows that record 2 is the current record. Right down here at the bottom. Record 2 of 82. On the record navigation bar, click the Next Record button. You've moved down to 3. Click the Last Record button. Okay, you went to record 82. In the vertical scroll, drag the scroll box to the top of the bar. Although the first records are now visible, record 82 will still be the record selected because it's the one you clicked in. Okay, hit previous record. Record 81 is now active. Hit first record, that takes you back up to the top. Okay, here we'll select this, put in 32 and hit enter, and it's going to carry you to record 32. Okay. On the record navigation bar, click the new blank record button, which is right here, and that takes you to a new blank record for record 83. On the record navigation, click the first record button and go back to the top. Alright, now we're going to create a simple query. A query is a question about the data stored in a database. When you create a query, you specify which fields to use to answer the question. Then Access displays only the records that fit, so you don't have to navigate through the entire database. In the Invoices table, for example, you might create a query to display only the invoice numbers and the invoice dates. You can use a simple query wizard to create a query based on the records and fields in the table. Detailed query is the default, which will show every field of every record. Alright, query results are not stored in the database, however the query design is stored in the database with the name you specified. You can redisplay the query results at any time by opening the query up and letting it run again. Alright, so on the ribbon, click the Create tab. In the Queries group, click the Query Wizard button. Click OK, which is allowing the simple query wizard to run. Alright. Click the Table Queries box arrow. All three objects in the database are listed. The invoice table is selected because it was the last table selected in the navigation pane. We want the table invoices to be the one we use, so we're going to keep it selected. With IMVNum selected in the available fields, click the over arrow. The invoice num field will move to the selected fields box. In the available fields box, click paid and move it over. And then we're going to click next. The second Simple Query Wizard dialog box appears, asking whether you want a detailed or summary query. The detail option button is selected. Click next. The final Simple Query Wizard dialog box appears, asking what title you want to use. We're going to give it Invoice Payments. And then open the query to view information option button is selected, so we're going to click Finish. Alright, here's the answer to your query. That's the results you get. It gives you the invoice number field and the paid field so that you can look and see which ones are paid and which ones are not. Okay? And we're going to close this query. And it's going to show up right here in your queries on your navigation pane. Alright, to create a simple form, to use a form to enter, edit, and view records in a database. Although you can perform these same functions with tables and queries, forms can present data in customized and helpful ways. In a simple form, the fields from the table or query on which the form is based are displayed one record at a time, allowing you to focus on the values for each record. Alright. Each field name appears on a separate line with its field value for the current record displayed in a box to the right. Alright. When you first create a form, it opens in Layout View. You use Layout View to make design changes to your form. In the navigation pane, click the Invoices table, if necessary, to select it. On the Create tab in the Forms group, click Form. Alright, so because the invoice table is open and nothing else is selected in the navigation pane, a simple form showing every field in the invoices table is created. The name of the tab is the same as the table name on which the form is based, and the fields in the form display the caption properties set for the fields. The field values for the first record appear in the form, and a border appears around the value for the first field in the form, invoice number, indicating that it is selected. The form is in Layout View. On the record navigation bar, click Next Record, and the values for the second record in the invoice table appear in the form. On the record navigation bar, click the New Blank Record button. A blank form is created and 83 of 83 appears in the current record box on the record navigation bar. Next to the invoice number field name, click the Empty Field box. It is highlighted with an orange border. Type any character. Nothing happens because the form is in Layout View. On the Quick Access toolbar, click the Save button. The Save As dialog box appears. Name it Invoice Data. And click OK. Your form will now appear over here in your navigation area where you can select it any time. Alright, to enter data in a form, on the Form Layout Tool Design tab in the Views group, click the View button. The form appears in Form View. The insertion point is blinking in the first field. So put in information for a new record. And then press Tab. And then complete the information. Alright. Now we'll close the invoice data form, saving if requested. The invoices table is displayed in Datasheet view. Alright, so refresh your data. On the record navigation bar, click the last record button. There are still only 82 records in the datasheet. The record you entered using the form isn't included. On the Home tab, in the Records group, click the Refresh All button. The datasheet refreshed and the first record is selected. Display the last record again. And it is record 83. It's your new record that you just added. Now close your invoice table. Creating a simple report. A report is a formatted printout or screen display of the contents of one or more tables or queries. A report shows each field in a column with the field values for each record in a row, similar to a data sheet. However, the report has a more visually appealing format for the data. Column headings are in a different color. Borders appear around each field value. A graphic of a report is included in the upper left corner of the report, and the current day, date, and time appear in the upper right corner. Dotted horizontal and vertical lines mark the edges of the page and show where text will be printed on the page. Okay, so we're going to use a report tool to quickly create a report based on all the fields from a selected table or query. So in the navigation pane, double-click your Invoices table. On the ribbon, click the Create tab, and we're going to choose Report. A simple report showing every field in the Invoices table is created. The name on the tab is Invoices because the report is based on the invoice table. The report opens in Layout view. On the ribbon, the Report Layout Tools tab appears and the Design tab is selected. The report being displayed in Layout view, you can change the format of the report. One way is to resize columns to better fit data and ensure that all values will be printed. Also note that the page area, the area that will print, is defined by the dotted lines. Anything outside of the page area will not print. In the Paid column, click any field. The field you clicked has a dark orange border. The rest of the field values in the Paid column are highlighted with lighter orange borders. In the Paid column, point to the right border of any field, and the pointer will change to the double-ended arrow. Drag the right border of any field in the Paid column until the column is just wide enough to fit in the Paid. The words Paid. Okay. Columns now narrow, better fitting the values. Compare your screens to the pictures in your book on page 582 at the top. Alright, reports are generally intended to be printed and distributed. When a table query on which a report is based includes a field that can be used in calculations. The total of this field is calculated and displayed at the end of the report below a horizontal rule. If this field is not useful in your report, you can delete it. Alright, so scroll to the bottom of your report to see if you've got any calculations. Alright, you do. You have an automated total field. So you want to click on that automated total field and hit the delete key. The field is deleted from the report and the report scrolls back to the top of the page. Scroll to the bottom of the report. Click the field above the page number field. And then press the delete key. Scroll back down to the bottom of the page again, and the stray blank line was deleted. Or should have been. Let's see. Yeah. Click the page number field. An orange box appears around it. Point to the selected page number field so that the pointer changes to the four-sided arrow. Drag the page number field to the left as far as it will go. On the ribbon, click the Report Layout Tools Format tab. Click the Align Left button. The text in the selected field is now left aligned. So viewing a report in print preview. In layout view, the report doesn't show how many pages the report includes. To see this, you need to switch to print preview. Print preview shows exactly how the report will look when printed. When you switch to print preview, the ribbon changes to include only the print preview tab, which includes tools and options for printing. So here on our quick access, we're going to add print preview to that so that we can just click on it and send that invoice to print preview. Alright, and then if we reduce this size, it's going to show what it looks like there if it was printed. Alright, we want it in portrait in one page. Okay? Now we're going to click the Save button. We're going to save it as Invoice Details and click OK. And now our report shows up in our navigation pane on the left-hand side. We're not actually going to print, but if you wanted to print your report, you would hit the Print button and hit OK and let it go to your printer. Now we're going to close the report because we're not actually going to print. We'll close the print preview and then close the report. Alright, so now compacting and repairing a database. Each time you open and work in a database, the size of the database increases. In addition, when you delete records or when you delete or replace database objects such as queries, forms, and reports, the space they occupy does not become available for other records or objects until you compact the database. Compacting a database rearranges the data and objects in a database to decrease its file size, making more space available and letting you open and close the database more quickly. Alright, so do this. On the File ribbon, click the File tab. We're going to go ahead and close this table. We're going to go to our File tab. We're in Backstage View. We're going to click the Compact and Repair Database button. Backstage View closes and the database is compacted and repaired. Now we can close our database. Go to File and hit Close. Alright, that concludes the lecture for Chapter 17. If you guys have any questions, please let me know.